The science behind genuine confidence. Oh, what's the difference? Is confidence something you're born with? Is it genetic? Is it luck? Or is there actually a science behind it? The answer may surprise you. Psychologists and neuroscientists have spent decades studying confidence. What they've discovered challenges many of the myths we've been taught. Real confidence doesn't come from repeating positive affirmations. It doesn't come from pretending you're fearless. And it certainly doesn't come from convincing other people that you're important. Genuine confidence is built one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one experience at a time. The exciting part is this. If confidence can be built, it can also be strengthened, no matter where you're starting from today. In this video, we're going to explore the science behind genuine confidence. Not fake confidence, not arrogance, not acting tough, but the kind of confidence that quietly changes the way you think, the way you act, and the way people naturally respond to you. Let's begin. Number 1. Your brain believes what you repeatedly do. Most people think confidence comes before action. They tell themselves, when I become confident, then I'll apply for the job. Then I'll start the business. Then I'll approach someone I'm interested in. But psychology suggests the opposite. Action usually comes first. Confidence follows. Think about learning to drive. The first time you sat behind the wheel, you probably felt nervous. Everything seemed complicated. Checking mirrors, watching traffic, using the pedals, turning the steering wheel. Your brain had no evidence that you could do it. But after weeks, then months, something changed. Driving became almost automatic. Why? Because your brain collected evidence. Every successful experience told your mind, I've done this before. I can do it again. Confidence works exactly the same way. Your brain pays far more attention to your actions than your thoughts. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you face something difficult, every time you finish what you started, your brain quietly records another piece of evidence. And over time, that evidence becomes confidence. Number 2. Competence creates confidence. Have you ever noticed that the people who are truly skilled at something rarely need to announce it? Think about a great chef, an experienced pilot, a talented musician, or a skilled athlete. Most of them don't spend all day telling people how good they are. Why? Because competence speaks for itself. One of the biggest mistakes people make is chasing confidence without first developing competence. They want to feel confident giving presentations, without practicing public speaking. They want to feel confident with money, without learning financial skills. They want to feel confident in relationships, without improving their communication. Real confidence grows when your abilities grow. The more prepared you become, the less fear controls you. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Nobody is. It simply means that every new skill you develop gives your brain another reason to trust itself. That's why learning is one of the fastest ways to build lasting confidence. Because knowledge reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is one of the biggest causes of self-doubt. Number 3. Your inner voice shapes your confidence. Every day, you have thousands of conversations, not with other people, with yourself. Most of those conversations happen automatically. You barely notice them, but your brain does. Imagine making one small mistake. Some people immediately think, I'm useless. I always mess things up. I'll never get better. Now imagine someone else making the exact same mistake. Instead of attacking themselves, they think, that wasn't my best moment. What can I learn from it? Notice the difference. The mistake is exactly the same. Only the interpretation changes. Psychologists call this self-talk, and it has a powerful effect on confidence. Your brain listens to the way you describe yourself. If you constantly tell yourself you're incapable, your behavior slowly begins to reflect that belief. But if you speak to yourself with honesty and encouragement, you create an environment where growth becomes possible. This doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means replacing destructive criticism with useful feedback. Instead of saying, I'm terrible at this, try saying, I'm still learning. That small change shifts your focus from failure to progress. Number 4. Confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself. Imagine making a simple promise. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. Tomorrow comes. You hit the snooze button. The next day, you make the same promise. Again, you ignore it. After a while, something happens that many people never notice. Your brain begins doubting your own words. Because you've taught yourself that your promises don't mean much. Now imagine the opposite. You set one small goal, and you complete it. Then another, and another. Slowly, your brain begins trusting you. That trust becomes confidence. Many people believe confidence is about how others see them. But genuine confidence often begins with how much you trust yourself. Every promise you keep strengthens that trust. Every promise you break weakens it. That's why discipline and confidence are so closely connected. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's about proving to yourself that your word has value. And when you truly believe your own word, other people are much more likely to believe it too. Notice what's happening. None of these lessons have anything to do with pretending to be fearless. They're all based on evidence. The evidence your brain collects through your habits, your actions, and the way you speak to yourself. And in the next part, we'll explore why failure, body language, and comparison have a much bigger impact on confidence than most people realize. Number 5. Failure can actually build confidence. This may sound backwards. Most people believe failure destroys confidence. Sometimes it does, but only if you allow failure to become your identity. Think about how children learn to walk. They fall hundreds of times. Imagine if a child decided after the third fall, I guess walking just isn't for me. None of us would ever learn. Instead, children treat failure as information. They stand back up, adjust, try again. Eventually, walking becomes effortless. Somewhere along the way, many adults lose that mindset. Instead of seeing failure as feedback, they see it as proof that they aren't good enough. But psychology tells us something different. People who develop resilience often become more confident than those who never struggle. Why? Because every challenge they overcome becomes evidence. Evidence that they can survive difficult situations. Evidence that they can adapt. Evidence that setbacks are temporary. The goal isn't to avoid failure. The goal is to stop letting failure define who you are. Confident people don't believe they'll never fail. They believe they'll figure things out when they do. That belief changes everything. Number 6. Your body changes the way your mind feels. Confidence isn't only mental. It's physical too. Think about the difference between these two people. One walks with their shoulders slumped, their head down. They avoid eye contact. They speak so quietly that people struggle to hear them. Now imagine someone standing upright, making comfortable eye contact, breathing steadily, speaking clearly without rushing. Which person appears more confident? Your body constantly sends signals to your brain. When you move like someone who's defeated, your mind often follows. When you carry yourself with strength and purpose, your brain receives different signals. This doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not. It means understanding that your posture, breathing, and physical habits influence how you think and feel. Even something as simple as slowing your breathing during a stressful moment can help your nervous system settle down. That's why athletes, soldiers, firefighters, and emergency responders train to control their breathing. Because a calm body supports a calm mind, and a calm mind supports genuine confidence. Number 7. Comparison quietly destroys confidence. One of the fastest ways to lose confidence is comparing your life to everyone else's. Today it's easier than ever. You open social media. Someone is buying a new house. Someone else is getting married. Another person has the perfect body. Another is traveling the world. Within minutes, you begin wondering, why am I behind? What you don't see are the struggles behind those pictures, the failures, the disappointments, the sacrifices. Social media usually shows the highlights, not the whole story. Confident people understand something important. The only meaningful comparison is between who you are today and who you were yesterday. Did you improve? Did you learn something new? Did you become a little more disciplined? A little more patient? A little more capable? Those are the questions that matter. Because your journey isn't supposed to look like someone else's. The moment you stop competing with everyone around you, You free yourself to focus on becoming your best self. And that's where real confidence begins to grow. Number 8. Confident people don't need to win every argument. Here's a surprising truth. The most confident people often have the least interest in proving they're right. Think about it. Have you ever argued with someone who refused to listen? No matter what evidence you presented, they had to win. Usually, that behavior comes from insecurity, because their identity depends on always being correct. Confident people are different. They're comfortable saying, "I don't know. You make a good point. I was wrong," far from making them look weak. Those words often increase people's respect for them. Why? Because secure people value truth more than ego. They don't feel threatened by learning something new. They don't see every disagreement as a personal attack. They understand that changing your mind after receiving better information isn't weakness. It's growth. Real confidence isn't about pretending you have all the answers. It's about knowing your value doesn't disappear simply because you made a mistake. A scientific truth most people miss. If you look closely, every lesson in this video points to the same idea. Confidence isn't an emotion you wait to feel. It's the result of repeated evidence. Every promise you keep, every challenge you face, every skill you develop, every setback you overcome, every time you choose growth over comfort, your brain quietly updates its opinion of you. Over months and years, those experiences shape your self-belief. That's why genuine confidence cannot be bought. It cannot be borrowed. And it cannot be faked forever. It has to be earned. We've now explored 8 scientific principles behind genuine confidence. But the final 4 may be the most important, because they explain why truly confident people earn trust, respect, and influence without constantly trying to prove themselves. And once you understand them, you'll never look at confidence the same way again. Number 9. Genuine confidence comes from accepting that you can't control everything. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with confidence is because they spend too much energy trying to control things that are completely outside their control. They worry about what strangers think. They worry about whether everyone likes them. They worry about outcomes they can't predict. The problem is, the more you try to control everything, the more anxious you become. Confident people understand something different. They focus on what they can control: their effort, their attitude, their preparation, their discipline, their character. The rest, they learn to let go. Imagine preparing for an important interview. You can prepare thoroughly, dress well, practice your answers, arrive on time, but you cannot control the final decision. Once you accept that, your mind becomes much calmer. Confidence grows when you stop trying to control every outcome and start focusing on your actions. That shift alone removes an enormous amount of unnecessary pressure. Number 11. Your environment shapes your confidence. Here's something many people underestimate. The people around you influence the way you think. Spend enough time with people who constantly complain. Eventually, negativity begins to feel normal. Spend enough time with people who avoid responsibility. Eventually, excuses become easier. But spend time with people who are disciplined, who keep learning, who solve problems instead of creating them. And you'll notice something remarkable. Their habits begin influencing yours. Confidence grows much faster in an environment that encourages growth. This doesn't mean you should abandon everyone who struggles. It simply means you should be intentional about who has the greatest influence on your thinking. Books, mentors, friends, family, the content you watch every day. All of these quietly shape your beliefs. Your environment doesn't determine your future, but it certainly influences the direction you're moving. Choose it wisely. Number 12. The most confident people never stop learning. One of the greatest myths about confidence is that confident people think they know everything. The opposite is usually true. The more someone learns, the more they realize how much there is still to discover. That's why genuinely confident people remain curious. They ask questions. They read. They listen. They improve. They aren't embarrassed by learning. They're excited by it. Insecure people often pretend to know everything because they're afraid of looking weak. Confident people are comfortable saying, "I've never learned that before. Can you teach me?" What do you think? That mindset keeps them growing. And growth keeps confidence alive. Because every new skill, every new experience, every lesson learned becomes another piece of evidence that they can adapt to whatever life brings. Why so many people chase the wrong kind of confidence? Here's where many people get confused. They think confidence is about looking fearless. So they pretend. They act tougher than they feel. They never admit uncertainty. They avoid asking for help. They confuse arrogance with strength. But genuine confidence doesn't need a performance. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. People who are truly confident don't spend every conversation trying to impress others. They spend their energy improving themselves. They understand that confidence is built in private long before it's noticed in public. Every workout, every promise kept, every difficult conversation handled with maturity, every challenge faced instead of avoided. Those quiet moments are where confidence is actually created. By the time other people notice it, the work has already been done. If there's one lesson I hope you remember from this video, it's this. Confidence is not something you find. It's something you build, brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly become confident. You become confident by repeatedly doing the things you once believed you couldn't do, by keeping promises to yourself, by facing discomfort instead of avoiding it, by learning from failure instead of fearing it, by focusing on growth instead of perfection. Imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. Would that future version of you be proud of the habits you're building today? Would he thank you for staying disciplined when it was difficult? Would he thank you for taking action even when you felt uncertain? Or would he wish you had stopped waiting to feel ready and simply started? Because here's the truth. Almost nobody feels completely ready. The people who become confident aren't the ones who never experience fear. They're the ones who keep moving even while fear is present. Every small action tells your brain, I can handle this. Every challenge overcome becomes another reason to trust yourself. And eventually, you reach a point where confidence no longer feels like something you're trying to create. It simply becomes part of who you are. So stop waiting for confidence to arrive. Build it, protect it, strengthen it. Because genuine confidence isn't about convincing the world you're strong. It's about quietly proving it to yourself, one day at a time. Click the subscribe button, like, share, and follow for more.